Thanks for joining me today. This is Danny, and welcome back to my modded 1.10.2 series. Today we're going to be playing around with Actually Additions again and RFTools Controls in order to generate power from canola oil and its various derivatives. It's upgraded oils. So for starters, I've got a small canola farm right here. I've got some canola plants growing under some greenhouse glass. These are both Actually Additions, and the greenhouse glass will make it grow faster. I've got, if you saw the previous episode, you already know that this is being controlled downstairs by, or this is being automated downstairs by these stone planters. And I've got this one. This is my canola one. It's got some canola seeds in it. It is being controlled by redstone channel pink, which basically turns off the stone planter when it gets a redstone signal. And then over here I've got a refined storage detector that is sending out a redstone signal when we have 500 canola in our system. So basically we will always have, or this farm will always run as long as we have fewer than 500 canola in our system. I just got this started a little while ago, so we only have 47 canola in there at the moment. But that is actually pretty good considering I just did this. I just set that up. So there's a few things we're going to need to get started. There are actually a number of different types of oils that are added, or number of different types of, here, let's go to Actually Additions. That doesn't seem to be working right lately, but anyway. Well, first of all, we're going to need an oil generator, so let's just make that right away. That's easy enough. And this guy is going to generate RF when we give it oil, of course. And there are several different types of oils that we can use. There's canola oil, which is what we're going to get using the canola press. But I'm going to have to do a little bit of crafting to get this. We need Inori crystals, which is just iron. In the end, we're going to be able to generate 200 RF per tick with this oil generator when we get to the top tier oil. But let's just take this one step at a time. So the first thing we want to do is go down here, and I am lagging. Been having a lot of trouble with lag lately. I don't know what is going on with that. But, okay, so there's our Inori crystals. We only need one, but I just made a bunch because we'll probably need more in the future, and that should be enough to make our canola press. Hooray! And what the canola press does is, as you might guess, it takes canola and it presses it into canola oil. So let's just start with that. Okay, I'm adding canola to this exporter, and I've got a storage drawer here. This is the same storage drawer that's feeding saplings to our power up there. I'm going to take our canola press, and we're going to put this, let's see, this guy is going to need power. This guy's got RF now, and now we just need to pipe in the canola. I think we already have, let's see. Yeah, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm just going to cut this off. Insert, and from here we will extract, and I'm pretty sure we don't need to filter this because it should only allow canola. It's not pulling canola. Let's see. Extract. Always active. There we go. Yeah, okay. So we're pulling canola and we're making canola oil. Hooray! Now I'm going to set our generator up here. Yeah, that's perfect. Alright, pressurized fluid conduits from Ender.io. These will allow us to move fluids uphill. We're going to insert here. Easy enough. And right, this is fluid. Extract. Always active. So we should see we've got. So I connected this to the side of the machine, and it actually appears to be extracting some canola oil. There we go. Well, that's strange. Okay. So it looks like we can't get the canola oil out of the top. We have to get it out of the side. Apparently, we have to put it into the side of the machine. We cannot put it on the bottom. But we're now generating 30 RF per tick from our canola oil. Hooray! But we can do better than that. We got some extra canola oil. I put some in a bucket as well. And I've cut off this fluid conduit so that we're no longer sending canola oil to our oil generator, because we can do better than that. To get to the next step and make oil, we're going to need a fermenting barrel. So here's another one of these Inori crystals. So there's our fermenting barrel. So we have to pipe. Actually, I'm kind of curious. Yes, nice. Okay. And this guy doesn't even need RF. So it's just going to ferment it. I actually kind of wanted it on that side, but I think we can pick it up. Hopefully it kept its inventory. Yes, it did. Okay, nice. So we've got canola oil over here, and it's fermenting it into oil. So this is kind of a no-brainer, right? Because this is not costing us any resources. It's just costing a little bit of time, but it'll be more than sufficient to keep. It's almost done. I don't want to wait around anymore. So what I'm going to do, if you pick this guy up, it will retain its inventory. However, if you do that to it, it will lose its inventory, which is fine by me. So, okay. So now I have nothing in here. I'm going to put an oil bucket. I'm hoping that I can just right-click on this and this will work. Yes. And now let's see what we're doing. 70 RF per tick. Hooray! So this is the easy part. So this is what we did. For starters, we can use a fermenting barrel to convert the canola oil into oil. If you're still not satisfied, which I'm not, with the power that generates, place it on the ground and throw in a crystallized canola seed to make crystallized oil. Take our canola seeds and we do this with our atomic reconstructor. And that makes crystallized canola seeds. So here's where things are going to get fun and interesting, because then what we have to do is we have to place the canola oil, or the oil, not canola oil, the regular oil, in the world, and we have to throw a seed in it. And then it becomes crystallized canola seed. What? Oh, I mean crystallized oil bucket. Hooray! So what can we do with the crystallized oil bucket? We can put it in here and generate 125 RF per tick. Nice. But we can still do better than that. Put one of these guys in here with 4 regular canola seeds. Now this is getting a little more expensive. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to empower this. And then we get empowered canola seeds. And guess what we're going to do with this? We're going to throw it in there. And then we're going to get empowered oil. We can dump that in here. And now we are producing 200 RF per tick. Nice. Now here's the big question. How the heck are we going to automate that? So we've got to place the oil in the world. We have to crystallize our canola seeds. Then we have to empower the canola seeds up here. We have to drop a crystallized canola seed in there first, and then we have to drop an empowered crystallized seed in there. That's going to be a little tricky, but of course it can be done. And I think that using RFTools Control would be a really good way to do it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place the fluid placer right there, and I'm going to hit it with a redstone torch. Because we want to change the redstone mode to pulse, otherwise it's deactivation, which means it always works unless it has a redstone signal. We only want this guy to work when we give it a redstone signal. So we're going to place this that way so that it places the fluid right there. Should be filling up. Yep, it's filling up with oil right now. And then over here, also facing toward that same block space, we're going to have our fluid collector, and again this guy is going to be set to pulse, to operate on redstone pulse, so it's not going to pick up the fluid there until it gets a redstone pulse. And we're going to stick a Britannia open crate up here. This kind of works like a dropper, except it drops straight down. It doesn't it doesn't store inventory. It has no inventory within it. As soon as you give it an item, it just drops it instantly. And we need to get another atomic reconstructor. This is similar to the one that it's the same as what we have in our base that we use to make all kinds of different crystals and stuff, except this time it's going to be just used to make these guys, crystallized canola seeds. So we're just going to drop the seeds down there, give this guy a redstone signal. Oh, we need a redstone torch. We're going to give this guy a redstone pulse. It'll turn canola seeds into crystallized canola seeds, and then we need to pick them up. For that, we're going to use this guy, a graded hopper. So a graded hopper will only pick up things that we specify. So let's test this out. I throw a canola seed in there. Yay! And it ends up in the hopper. But the hopper will not pick up, the graded hopper will not pick up the canola seeds. So that is perfect. So now to empower the seeds, we need to put a crystallized canola seed in the middle and one canola seed on each of the outer blocks. Now the nice thing about these guys is they only accept a single item. So if we have a drop chest and pipes going into this guy, and they will only accept items that they can use. So like we can't put canola seeds in the empower, but we can put crystallized canola seeds. Oh, but we can also put crystallized canola seeds in here. So we will have to have filters on these guys to not take the crystallized canola seeds. But we won't have to do round robin or conduit downgrades or anything like that because we can only put one canola seed on each one of these guys. So the empowered crystal setup is ready. I've got Ender IO conduits doing a push into every one of these. It's all insert. The one in the center has a priority of 1, whereas the ones on the outside have a priority of 0. So that way, if we throw, if we throw a crystallized canola seed and 4 regular canola seeds. Now we know that the center cannot take the regular canola seeds, but it can take, but the outside can take the crystallized canola seeds, but we don't want it to. So that's why we have this at a higher priority. So if we drop these all in the chest, they should end up right where they're supposed to be. And we can see particles going on upstairs. Hooray! Oh, it's already done. Okay. So that's working. So I'd put the 4 canola seeds on the 4 outsides, and then I put the crystallized one in the middle. And if we look in this chest, we should see that we now have... Oh, wait a minute. If we look in this chest, we should see that we now have an empowered canola seed, and we just need to set this to extract. Always active, and then it's going to move it into this chest. So we're ready to get started with RFTools controls. I think we have all of the machines and infrastructure that we need. I'm going to just stick a processor right here, and then I'm actually going to have 2 nodes. I'm going to have one of them over here that will be able to access this inventory. Our processor will be able to access both open crates. One thing I do want to test though is to see if this can directly input into the open crate. We'll see. And then I'm going to put another one here that's going to have access to this inventory as well as redstone over there. Of course, we could actually just move this crate over, and then this would be able to access it, and then maybe we could have a redstone conduit going to this. Oh, we still have that guy down there too. I'm just going to have that guy pipe up to here. We'll just do that. And then this just will be our inventory for everything. So I have a program in here right now that on redstone signal, it sends inventory to the open crate. It sends one item to the open crate. So we're going to see now if this will directly send items to open crate. Hooray! Nice! Oh, that's cool. All right. That works great. I got this working. Whew. It was a lot of work. It ended up being a pretty complicated program, but I'm just going to show it to you really briefly. I've got a processor here. I've got a node over here that's touching the storage crate, this open crate, and our atomic reconstructor. And then I've got a chest in the back here. That's the drop chest that is connected to our pipes going into our empower and the pedestals. or the display stands or whatever, so that we can make our various things, so that we can make our empowered canola seeds. This is all my testing result. So from beginning to end, here's how it works. We've got our basic drawer that's getting stuff, canola and canola seeds pumped into it. All in all, for each bucket of empowered oil, we need about, I think it's about 12.5 canola and 6 seeds. So the 12.5 canola go into our canola press, which makes the canola oil. That goes into our fermenting barrel, and this requires no RF, that requires RF, this does not. And then that goes into this fluid placer, which is set to pulse mode by hitting it with a redstone torch. We toggle between pulse mode and deactivate mode. We want pulse mode so that when we give it a redstone signal, or pulse, it's going to, on the side that it's facing, that little thing is showing the side that it's facing, it's going to place our oil in the world, so in that space. And then we've got our open crate on top of here so that we can drop our seeds into the oil, and then we've also got a fluid collector right here, also set to pulse, so that it can pick up the fluid once it becomes empowered oil. And then over here we've got our atomic reconstructor that's pointing toward this block space, where we have an open crate above where we're dropping our seeds to be empowered. And then we have our graded hopper down here that is filtered to only pick up crystallized canola seeds, and then it's going to pipe them. I can't seem to pipe directly from the graded hopper, so I ended up just having it drop it into a chest, which is fine. And then that gets piped up to this inventory. So that inventory is just kind of our, I don't know, in-out inventory. And then our processor will grab the crystallized canola, bring it in here, put it in this slot because the first slot already has canola seeds in it, and then it's going to send out the 4 canola seeds and the one of the 2 empowered, or one of the 2 crystallized, in order to make an empowered, which is going to end up getting dropped into this chest, which is going to pull back in here and put it in this slot, and then it's going to drop them one by one into this chiseled glass. So let's watch this. It's pretty cool. So we can see it's got these in. It dropped 2 of them down there. It put them up in this chest. It's going to pull them out. And then it puts some of them back. We'll see a poof over there. And now they're in here. And they're going to drop. And then it's too fast. Wait, couldn't even watch. But basically what this program does is first it checks to make sure we have everything we need. So it checks here to make sure that we have at least 1,000 millibuckets of oil. That's what this guy over here is doing, this node. And then it checks over here to see if we have at least 6 canola seeds, because we need 6 canola seeds. And it checks here to see that we have less than 4,000 millibuckets of empowered oil. So it's going to maintain 4,000 millibuckets. If any of these things evaluate to false, the program just doesn't run. It stops. If they all evaluate to true, then it's going to grab the file, and then it's going to do what we saw. So actually, let's watch it again, this time without being in the inventory. So we'll see that happen, and then we're going to see a poof over there in a couple seconds. And then as soon as we see that poof, then we're going to see oil go in here, and it's going to get boom, and then in there. So you saw it was oil, and then it turned into crystallized oil, and then it turned into empowered oil, and yeah, now there it is. So we can actually tell this program, instead of running on redstone signal, we can tell it to just run every like minute or so. So that would be, so we can just get rid of this, because it's a safe program. It's checking that we have everything that we need before it runs. So it should be fine if we just have it run on repeat every 120 ticks. And then we definitely want this to run only once. Only one simultaneous run. So that we don't end up running it again if it didn't, if it's still hanging from the last time, which probably, would probably never happen, but you don't want to take chances. So anyway, just very quickly, it's checking the fluid in the tank underneath the processor. That is our pickup tank, basically, the fluid collector that is sending that's piping fluid into our, actually it's not yet, but it will be piping fluid into our oil generator. It's checking to see, it's putting that in variable 0, and then it's checking to see if variable 0 is greater than 4,000, or if 4,000 is greater than, so if we have less than 4,000, then it's going to move on and check, okay, how about the oil on the north side? So here's the oil node, and the north side is that way, so it's checking this inventory now, and it's seeing, do we have at least, we're setting that to variable 0 again, do we have at least 1,000 in there? If so, then we continue moving on. If not, you can see there's no red dot. The green dot says this is what we do if this is true. We go in that direction. The red dot, like what I have here, says this is what we do if it's false. Since there is no red dot, it's just gonna, the program's just gonna end. There's nowhere for it to go, it's done. So the same thing here. We're checking the sinv on the east side for canola seeds, and we're putting the we're getting an item count. So how many canola seeds do we have in here? We're putting that in variable 0 again, and we're saying, hey, is variable 0 greater than 5? If so, because we want it to be 6, so 6 is greater than 5. If so, then we're going to just follow all these lines over here. I just did this to make the code a little cleaner so that I could follow it a little bit more easily. So then all our checks went through. So now we can actually start doing stuff. So now we're going to fetch our canola seeds, 6, and we're going to put them in slot number 0. That's this slot right here, because that's what we have allocated. Oh, and check this out. Some things have changed here. Now when we allocate our resources, or our slots, it's telling us this is slot 0, this is slot 1, this is slot 2. And it's also doing that with the variables. So like if we use this variable here, instead of the variables being 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then us trying to figure out, okay, 3 is 0, or 2 is 0, 3 is 1. Now it actually does that, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, so we're fetching canola seeds. We're fetching 6 of them from that same inventory, so sinv east, and we're pushing them. We're pushing 2 of them out to this open crate. So that's the west side. And then we're setting the redstone signal on winv downside, so that this is winv, and that's the downside. So we're giving our atomic reconstructor a redstone pulse. Again, we had to hit this with the redstone to toggle that to redstone pulse. We're going to wait 4 seconds. Now the reason we're waiting 4 seconds is because we've got a hopper here that's putting stuff into a chest, and then an item conduit with no speed upgrades that's pulling it into this guy. So it takes a little while for the stuff to get up there, mostly because of the hopper, because hoppers are pretty slow. If we didn't wait that long, in fact, I was having a heck of a time debugging this program because it kept leaving some of the crystallized canola seeds behind, and I'm like, why does it keep leaving them in there? And yeah, that's why, because it was doing the fetch operation, which is our next step, before all the pieces were in there. So then it sets the redstone to 0. So we have to always make sure you do that when you set redstone. When you want to give something a redstone pulse, make sure you remember to set it back to 0, because even when the program ends, and even if you take the card out or whatever, that redstone signal is going to persist forever until you shut it off or do a reset in here. So we shut the redstone signal off, we grab the items from slot 0, because that's really the only slot we're ever going to end up using in here, because we're only going to ever have one thing at a time in that crate. So we're grabbing everything out of there, we're putting it in slot number 1 in our internal processor, and then we're pushing from slot number 1 into sinv, or winv south. So that is this drop chest back here that pipes things out to our empowerer. And then we're also pushing from slot 0, which is just our regular canola seeds, 4 canola seeds. So that's going to get the empowerer started. And then we are going to use this test loop. We didn't use this last time. What the test loop does is it will loop through a variable and will run a program the number of times that you tell it to. So in this case, what we're doing is we're setting a variable to 0. So we're using the eval integer and we're just using the constant 0, and we're passing that to variable number 0. Why is that not? Oh wow. Okay, that might have explained some of the problems I was having before. Okay, so then we have test loop variable 0, and we're going to end at index 1. So, and all we're doing is we're counting the number of empowered crystals inside this inventory. Because we don't really know how long this is going to take. It could take longer than we think, because maybe I'm up there doing something in the empowerer and it's waiting for me. So we don't know. So we're just going to wait. We're going to loop until, so we're setting variable number 1 to the count of items, and then we're doing a test. Is variable number 1 greater than 0? So do we have at least one item in there? Or do we have at least one empowered crystal in there? If we do, if the crystal's in there, then we're going to fetch the empowered crystals. We're going to set that variable number 0 to 1 so that this loop ends. If it doesn't find it, it's going to set that variable to 0 again so that the loop continues, and it's going to keep looping until that variable gets set to 1 right here, and then it'll move on down here where it starts doing the fun stuff. So now it has everything it needs. So at this point, we have slot 1 has our crystallized canola seed in it. Slot 2 has our empowered canola seed in it. So we're going to give oil north a redstone signal. That's this guy. We're going to give it a pulse so that it dumps oil into this space. And then we wait 4 ticks. It just needs a small pulse. It doesn't matter. And in fact, we could probably we might not even need that step actually, but I'm just putting it there just to make sure. Then we are going to push to inventory to the east of our processor. That's this open crate. We're going to push the item that's in slot number 1, and that happens to be our crystallized canola seed. We're going to wait 4 ticks again, and then we're going to push the item from slot number 2, which is our empowered canola seed, which will give us empowered oil. And then we're going to wait 4 ticks again, just to make sure that it has time to become empowered oil. Then we're going to set the redstone on below the fluid collector. That would be this guy. Below the processor, that would be the fluid collector. We're going to give it a redstone pulse. And then we're going to wait 4 ticks, and then we're going to shut the redstone pulse off. And that's it. So it's actually not a terribly complicated program. Wait. So we changed that to event repeat. So let me load that. No, I want to save that. So now all I have to do is put this card in here. And this program is going to run every minute whenever the oil is less than 4,000. I don't know how the oil got just less than 4,000 just now, but okay. So now it's at 4,000. It's not going to run again until it gets under 4,000. So now we can start piping this oil out. There we go. Okay, so totally emptied it out. Just going to extract. I'm not sure why, because it wasn't set to extract always. It was set to extract on redstone signal. Weird. But anyway, this guy should be running now. Oh crap, I just placed a thing up there. Yep, it is totally full of empowered oil. Oh, we only have 4 canola seeds. So it's not going to run the program right now until we get 2 more canola seeds. Holy crap, how did we run? Yeah. Gee, I wonder. Like I said, we need about 12.5 canola and 6 canola seeds for every bucket. So what we may have to do, in addition to what we've already done, is set up some kind of auto crafting, because we can make canola seeds out of canola. So if we're producing canola way faster than the seeds, then we may have to do that. Nice, this is working beautifully. That was a lot of work for 200 RF per tick. However, that is scalable. I mean, we could definitely set up more of these oil generators. We're at a net gain of canola and seeds. Our automation can certainly keep up with probably a whole array of these oil generators. In the next episode, we are probably going to be playing with advanced generators. I have never played with that mod. I'm going to have to take a little bit of time to kind of get to know it and see how it works. It looks pretty cool from what I've seen of it so far. So, and that might be one of our last like major RF generation things for a while, because I've been I have so many different methods of RF generation right now, which is great. We have a very diverse power grid here. If you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you have any comments or whatever, feel free. Of course, if you did enjoy this, don't forget to click the like button and to join me next time. Thanks for watching.